Hey everybody, welcome to Wellness Wednesday Impactful Conversations. Thank you for joining me on this chilly Wednesday evening. But I promise you the conversation we're going to have tonight with Chelsea Dagama is going to be awesome. It'll warm you up from the inside out. So, once again, welcome to Wellness Wednesday's Impactful Conversations. Today, we're going to be talking self-love with Chelsea Dagama. There she is, right on time. We're going to be talking all things knowing yourselves, understanding yourself, loving yourself as purely and as passionately as you possibly can. So I'm going to ask her to just jump onto the live with me real quick. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I know it's cold. It's bitterly cold. But like I said, Chelsea is going to warm us right up with tips and tricks on how to love ourselves and how to, understand the difference between you loving you versus others loving you. And there she is. She's already requested to join on the live. I'm waiting for Instagram to do the thing because I said yes. I'm not quite sure. Good evening, Sinamila. How are you?
Hi, Doll. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, Chelsea?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm so excited about today.
Oh, me too. So, before we even get too far into the conversation, for those who are not familiar with you and your content, let's give a brief introduction of who you are, and then let's do the things that you're here for, okay?
Awesome. Should I do the introduction?
Yes, please, you must
Awesome.
do it.
No, I'm excited to do that. So for those of you who don't know who I am Chelsea Dagama, dating navigation strategist and personal development coach. I help you with your dating life, your relationship building, and essentially just developing yourself as a person because, you know, the center and the core of everything that you are is, you know, taking care of yourself. So you are the center, then we figure everything else out. So I'm the coach who helps you with all of that stuff. I hold your hand as you are dealing with life and life's issues.
That's I think it's a powerful introduction that sums up a lot of what you do. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say, first of all, what is a navigation coach? Because that was the first thing I asked myself before I was more familiar with your content. So maybe just dig deeper into that.
So, okay. So I'm a dating navigation strategist, okay? So I'm not a navigation coach, but I help you with your dating navigation, which means just like a GPS. Think of it as a GPS, but for dating life. So I'm the person who's like, you know what? Let's turn left. Let's go right. Let's do this. Let's do that. So that's where I fit in. So I give you a strategy in terms of how you can apply a strategy, you know, in terms of the different things that you need to do. So that's where I come in, like a football coach. They can see which moves the players need to make. I can see which moves you need to make in your dating life, whether it's your relationships, whether you're single, whatever it is. To answer you, Noxie, it is different from therapy because I'm not a psychologist. So it's very important that people understand that I am not a psychologist, but I am a life coach. So I'm like a coach. I'm the person who holds your hand and says, come with me. And let's go. Let's move forward. When you're feeling down, I pick you back up again. If you are struggling to meet your goals, if you're struggling to do certain things, I'm the person who's like, get up. We need to do this. We need to do that. Or I'm the person who's like, listen, this is where you're letting yourself down. Let's do this. Or I'm just a sounding board. Some people just need me as someone to vent to. So that's what I'm here for.
Okay. So now that we've encapsulated everything that it is that you do, let's talk self-love. What is it and what does it look like practically?
So for me, you know, self-love is the relationship you have with yourself. And I feel like self-love is the most luxurious form of love and life and everything. So that is how you take care of yourself, how you speak to yourself, and how you just handle yourself. So that's what self-love is to me. Self-love for me is not just beauty treatments. It's not just seeking soft life. It's not all of that. The true soft life is how you treat yourself, how you speak to yourself. That's what self-love is.
Okay. Are you still with me, Chelsea?
Yeah, I am. Am I lagging?
Yo, no. I think it just it did a thing on my side, but that's fine. So now that we are speaking of it as the relationship I have with myself, how do I then practice this relationship in everyday life?
Okay. So the first thing that I always say is that discipline is the highest form of self-love. For anyone who's watching today, discipline is the highest form of self-love. If you can honor every single promise that you make to yourself, you're on the right track. Self-love isn't just reading books, standing on your head, doing Pilates. It is just showing up for yourself. If you can master that part, then you've got the rest figured out. If you set out things to do for the day, and if you can do those things, you're showing yourself love. Because would you date someone who never keeps a promise, never shows up, never comes on dates, never does anything? They just keep on saying, no, we'll do it next week. We'll start on Monday. Would you honestly date someone like that? No. Which means we never go and do the things that you say we're going to do. So you need to start looking at yourself like that, to say, this is how I can show myself that self-love. So the first thing is discipline is the highest form of self-love. Ways that you can show yourself that self-love from within is to nurture your mind. Now, your mind is so important and people just neglect that. What am I consuming on a daily basis? You wake up in the morning, you go on Instagram, you go on TikTok, and then it's just, I'm consuming so much. Things that negatively, affect me as I start the day. So it's very important what you are taking in. Be very aware of every single detail of your life. Be protective of yourself. Think highly of yourself. That is how you can start cultivating that.
I think what I love the most of what you just said is be protective of yourself.
Yes.
Because I think as women, I'm going to generalize, it's not for every woman, but the majority of us, we don't protect ourselves. Our first instinct is to protect others. And I think that's what leads me to my next question. When we see toxic behavior, whether let's specifically in relationships, how much of it can we blame on our lack of self-awareness or our lack of self-love? So I think maybe how I want to put it is how much of the toxic behavior that we tolerate is internal, what we are taking in versus what they're projecting on us.
Okay, so I'm going to start with saying this. When it comes to abuse and things like that, I never want anyone to break it down and psychoanalyze it. Abuse is abuse. So we're going to put abuse aside when we're speaking about, toxic behaviors. But when it's things like when we get triggered, you need to start having those conversations with yourself to say, what is this triggering? Am I in love with this person, or are they triggering my abandonment issues? You understand? Am I, falling for this? Am I okay with this neglect, or is it because it's triggering something from my childhood? So it's important that you start having those conversations with yourself. Start speaking to your inner child, because that's the person who jumps out. So you'll find that certain toxic behaviors come out where you are heavily obsessed with someone as soon as you start dating them, or you find that you love being treated badly. I always say this to my clients, where I say, women love rejection affection. It's like as soon as a guy doesn't want you, oh my gosh, you are crazy about him. But it's not that he's doing anything great. It's because it has what? Triggered something, isn't it? It's triggered something inside of you. There's a wound there that needs to be nurtured. So when it comes to those toxic behaviors, yes, other people are not good people. But we can't walk around calling every one of our exes a narcissist. Like, how many narcissists can there really be? You get what I mean? And probably, and I always say this, your ex is not even smart enough to be a narcissist. He's literally just a guy who doesn't care about you. So you need to break it down and see that, okay, this person is treating me badly. Why am I okay with that? You look at what they're doing, but you look at your part in it. Because how long are we always going to be the victim in every situation? You get what I mean?
So now, how do we then, I think maybe, well, obviously I do want to state it's, when I say toxic behavior, I mean in a person who, not someone who treats you bad, or who will, not someone who will hit you in a situation where they're angry and pull at you. That's not toxic behavior, that's abusive behavior.
Yes.
What I'm speaking is somebody who will go on a date with you and will pitch up 3 hours late without an excuse. How much of, like, so obviously you're saying that's, there are things within your inner child that you need to heal from and all those things. How much of what or who we date or who we choose to date is based on our upbringing? And how do we break a pattern of behavior that we saw or lived through to be able to say, but this guy not showing up 3 hours late every single time we're on a date is toxic. It's not a skis traffic or whatever. It's a pattern of behavior that I'm allowing. How do we get to a place where we like, okay, this is what I grew up seeing. I don't want to do that anymore. Now I want to do something else. How do we get to that place?
Okay. First of all, if he's showing up 3 hours late, you leave, period. Your time is very important. So don't you ever put yourself in that situation, okay? But when it comes to noticing patterns, and this is the thing that's very important, we need to start becoming aware. Let the light start turning on for you, where you start seeing, okay, I am seeing a pattern here. Because remember, things that happen in childhood, it's patterns. Your programming is a pattern, you understand? And as you're moving forward in life, you're starting to identify those patterns. So you need to now start seeing, yes, Noxie, it's self-actualization. And you need to start seeing that, okay, fine, you know what? I'm seeing this, I don't like it. And you see that feeling of, I don't like this. We need to master honoring that voice. Because this thing of being uncomfortable with things and being comfortable with discomfort needs to be eliminated. Why are you comfortable with being in uncomfortable situations? And that's where you start to now decipher to see, okay, I don't like this. But we do this thing where we gaslight ourselves. Now we know when other people do it, we just don't know when we do it, right? So now you're being disrespected in little ways. You gaslight yourself and you say, oh, he is like that. I'm being dramatic. My standards are too high. But why are you okay? As I said, why are you comfortable with discomfort? Because every single time you get that feeling. Every single time you're not okay with how this makes you feel. Every single time you are struggling to express yourself. So the way that we train that is, we do what? It comes back to self. As I said in the beginning, everything comes back to self. If you sort yourself out, think of this as like a wheel or something. If you're at the center, everything else is going to make sense. Now, when you're putting yourself aside, it's just going to be chaos here. You get what I mean? Yeah. So we need to bring you back to that center and we sort everything else out. And so you need to honor yourself in every single situation. If there's one thing that people can take from this live, it's that. Honor yourself in every situation. Stop gaslighting yourself. Your voice matters, and don't be okay with not being okay with things.
Yes. So obviously, we are in the, because now we're talking about how we see certain things within ourselves. Now, for example, I've noticed that, and I've decided I'm going to take a bit of time off from dating, because there are clearly things I need to sort out. How much of the pressure, okay, maybe I'm putting it wrong. Let me find a different way to say it. So now, how much of the self-love when you're practicing self-love and you've decided, I'm going to love myself differently, I'm going to love myself better, how much of that can starve off internal and external toxic behavior when it comes to peer pressure?
Okay, I'm not quite understanding your question. So you're saying that if I am now taking care of myself, okay, it will now starve off toxic behavior, okay? But now where does this peer pressure come in?
Yes.
I'm asking.
So then how do I then, now the English is just forgotten.
The bundles have depleted.
It's depleted. It's the end of the day and it's just like rough. Okay, so maybe
let's break it into two.
Come back to that.
Or let's break it into two.
Yes.
Let's start off with the self-love and starving those toxic behaviors, and then we'll get to the peer pressure part. How about that, okay? So when you are loving yourself and you're engaging in all of that, you understand the way that you're starving those things is because, what did I say in the beginning? Discipline is the highest form of what? Of self-love. So that's how you are pouring into yourself. So we starve those toxic behaviors and patterns when we start to create a life where we are more in alignment with ourselves. So when you create that life where you're in alignment with your true self, there's no room for other things to come in. There's no room for you to be swayed because you know exactly where you're headed. And especially if you are in a period, if there's any ladies here, just raise your hand with an emoji. If you're single and that's where you're at, where you're like, you know what, I'm just doing me. I'm focusing on myself. I'm in that space. And it's a lovely space to be in because such amazing things come out of it. Like, great things happen from breakups, or when you're just doing you. Look at Adele, she has a whole career because of that, you know? So like channel that energy. But when you're in alignment with yourself and during that period, when you create that, by the time someone comes in, you can't be swayed. You can't be swayed by that outside noise. And that's where now that peer pressure comes in. See, when you get that messaging, when you get that peer pressure messaging, when you're getting all of that stuff, when you are on this track, you're like a moving train and you're going and you're going. You come into my life. If you're not in alignment with where I'm going, you need to get off the train. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So you need to, in this period, all the ladies who raise their hands, in this period, I want you to completely just zone in and focus. No talking to anyone, no time wasters, no nothing. Yeah. And you say, you know what, I'm going to dedicate this period to me literally just being the best that I can possibly be. Because there's a version of yourself that you need to meet in the next 6 months. And she's waiting for you. You allow that outside noise in, you're not going to get there. And that's why I'm using the example of a train, because it's not like when you're driving in a car and you can go here. There's one railroad. You get what I mean? So think of it in that way. And that's how we can block out all of that other stuff. That's how we can eliminate all of that.
Okay. Now the English has come back.
Yes.
So we're on the train. And I'm like, shucks, I don't want time wasters. Yes, precious, no time wasters. I'm not entertaining anything. I'm in the zone and I'm focused. And then my grandmother from the village comes to me and she's like, yo, do you know that Garabo from down the street is pregnant?
Do you know that my grandfather literally has 2 other families? Bye, Granny. Don't answer her.
Yes, I think that's where a lot of then the pressure comes in, because you feel like, man, I'm doing the work and the work is good for me. Yet there are voices surrounding me constantly badgering me into a place I know I'm not ready. Okay. So how do we then start those conversations with our loved ones to say, Granny, Grandpa, Mom, Dad, I love you, and I also want to find a husband, and I also want to have kids, but right now where I am, that's just not happening. How do we get to that place where we can have those conversations and not roll our eyes and then go shopping and we don't have?
Okay, so here's the thing. You know, if you're above the age of 25 and you're watching this, again, raise your hand. So sorry, guys. I'm being like Wendy. Clap if you agree. So raise your hand if you have, if you're above 25. So from 25, there's certain messaging that you are getting constantly. And I didn't care about it until I turned like 25, 26. And it gets worse as you're approaching 30. Because now it's like everywhere, everyone is like, oh, you don't have a man. Or, oh, you're not engaged, or you're not married, or this. God forbid I go on Facebook. It's like when I go on Facebook, I'm like, she has 3 kids? She's married? I'm just trying to finish my Netflix series here. I'm just trying to get through Selling Sunset. I am not there right now. And you're constantly getting this influx of pressure, everywhere you're looking. People are having kids. You're looking at your peers and you're looking at different things where their careers are at a certain point, their family life is at a certain point, and it just looks like everything is so perfect for everyone but you. And again, it brings us back to what? It brings us back to self. Now, the way you speak to yourself and the way you treat yourself is key during this period, especially from 25 onwards. You need to treat yourself like a valuable asset and a valuable person where you're like, I know what I'm doing and I'm figuring things out in the best way that I can. So that means the first mistake that we're making is that we want to sit down and tell people what the hell we're going to do with our life. Are you on crack?
Yeah.
Why must I go sit down with Granny and then explain to them that I am not ready for marriage? Why? Because she can feel better. Yeah. She made her life choices. That is what she settled for. She's okay with that. Like, we don't know that grandfather disappears every now and then for a couple of years, pops up with kids and a whole family. This is the bare minimum you could come up with, Granny. We get that. No one is questioning you. These are your choices. I'm paying black tax because of you. Because of your choices. Yeah. When you were like 25, because you wanted to get married when you were 18. Doing what? You get what I mean? So you need to bring it in. You need to bring it in and think to yourself, you know what? To hell with everyone. Literally the best advice you can give yourself is F everyone. And I'm just going to do me. I'm not explaining myself. I'm going to honor myself. You need to honor yourself. And when you can do that, you block everything else out. You're not there to explain things to people. I will get married when I am ready, okay? Because I could get ready. I could be ready when you want me to be ready, have the kids, have all of that, and then I'm divorced by like 35, and I don't know what to do. And where do I start my life again? Because I rushed and I didn't make the right choices. Allow me to walk my journey in the best way possible. Actually, don't even ask them. Just do it. Just do it. Keep watching your cartoons, guys. Keep living your life, figuring things out. It's your ovaries. No one must tell you what to do with your literal uterus.
Yeah.
Minky said, not Chelsea dragging our grandmother. Not the grandmother.
Not the grandmother. Shame. And Minky, I think for me that example is real because my dad's mom has been a housewife her whole life. And for her, marriage and kids is like the ultimate prize.
That's her.
And when I turned 30, oh my gosh, it was like, you're 30, what's happening? All your peers. And I was like, I don't know. At this point, I'm not like, my dad still gives me petrol money. So what am I doing fetching a husband? And I think that for me was so important in the understanding self-love and going through the journey of self-love, because it was so difficult to have to sit with the elders and go, you know what, I know I'm 30 and I know my peers are getting married.
No.
But I'm just emotionally not there.
Oh, you're speaking to the wrong people. Oh my. Oh, wow. I don't see myself sitting with elders telling them what I'm going to do with my life. No. Don't do that.
We should have had this conversation first.
We should have had this conversation. You should have DM'd me and be like, girl, I need your help, So that is, you know, and there's a lot of people who have that pressure. There's a lot of people who do feel the need to explain, you know, we can't be going conversations that need to be had, but you need to know at the end of the day, it is your life, okay? And you need to honor your voice, your inner voice. And that's why I said you need to build and cultivate that relationship you have with yourself. Because at the end of the day, society and grannies and elders and everyone, no one's going to be there. When you're crying yourself to sleep and you're just trying to figure life out, you know, we're still in a pandemic. We like to act like COVID is gone. It's not. You are literally living in a period that no one prepared for. There's a recession on the way. Markets are crashing. And you are stressing me about bringing children into this economy. Who's going to pay for those children?
Like, who indeed is going to pay for these children? So I think right now we've spoken about, well, for me, it's external pressure, because I'm hearing your biological clock rubbish. What about those women who are here on this live tonight who are, it's internalized pressure? Because like you, they went on Facebook and they're like, damn, 3 kids and a husband. Oh my word, you're on your second husband. Oh God, your third. How do we then differentiate between what the external noise versus what I'm doing on the inside that's pressurizing me, that I'm putting pressure on myself to achieve or do certain things because I'm subscribing to a non-existent time frame?
So that's why I said, you know, building that relationship with yourself. If you don't have a relationship with yourself, you don't know what you want. So the first thing you need to ask yourself is, why don't I trust myself enough? Why is it that if I make a decision, I don't trust myself enough to know that that is the right decision for me? Now, I know there's that internal pressure that comes in. We all experience it, okay? But you need to define, and that's where someone like me comes in as a life coach, where I can sit down with you and be like, what do you want? People aren't asked questions like that. Or even, where do you see your life being? And for the first time when you're sharing that with someone and you realize that, okay, maybe kids aren't part of that 5-year plan. Or maybe kids are, but this is the person that I need to be for those kids, you know? You might find that it's not even that you're not ready, but it's just that there's a version of yourself that needs to meet that version of yourself for it to be the best. You get what I mean? So that is why it's just so important that you just, sorry, I lost my train of thought, but it's just so important that the way that you're speaking to yourself and the way that you have those conversations with yourself is nurtured in a healthy way, that you are building that constantly through different things, like whether it's therapy, whether it's seeing a life coach, whether it's just spending time on your own. There's so many women who have never even been on a solo date. They feel awkward being alone somewhere. How are you awkward with the only person that you've got in your life? The only person you're sure of being there is you. And you can't even sit and take her out for dinner because you feel awkward, because you're worried about what? Because of other people. And that's where that internal conflict comes in. And that's where that internal battle comes in, because you're unsettled on the inside. You haven't sorted things out on the inside. And that's why you're letting these other things shake you. So ask yourself, why am I not trusting myself? Why am I not okay? I'm 30. I must sit with elders to tell me what I must do with my life. And when they die? And then what?
Yeah.
I need to build that where I can be trusting of myself. I'm going to be head of a household one day. And here I am, I can't even make small decisions. So you need to show up for yourself every day. And as I said in the beginning of this live, what's the highest form of self-care? I want to see it in the comments. I'm not going to say it. Don't say it. What is the highest form of self-care? Let's see if anyone listened. What is the highest form of self-care? Thank you, Olerato.
There we
Thank you, Olerato. It's discipline. Discipline is the highest form of self-care. Create a life for yourself, a life you can honor. And you stick to that because you're a what? You're a moving train and you're going in a certain direction. Whether anyone comes from the outside, you are going in a certain way, but you need to create that. If you cannot even honor commitment to yourself, you're lost already. You're already lost. Small commitments, little goals that you're achieving day by day. Doesn't have to be, I must now be fitness bunny, this and that, like I'm in the army. No. But small things that you set out to do to create that life for yourself. If you can do that, nothing will sway you. Not a single thing.
And that's so true because I think a lot of us, that's what holds us back. We're too busy making excuses, like, oh, I can't do that, or I can't wake up at that time, or I can't do it this way. And then we do these things 4 or 5 years down the line. We're just like, shucks, I've wasted 4 years because I have no idea what I'm doing with my life.
Yeah.
And I think that from everything you've spoken tonight, that's so important. Discipline. It doesn't necessarily need to just be discipline at work, but discipline with yourself. If you promise yourself something, do it. If you promise to take yourself out, do it. And don't be cheap. I'm a believer. Go to those fancy restaurants where a platter is 300 rand. Take yourself out.
You
Spend
have
your money on yourself.
Oh, please
because then it becomes
Yeah.
And then I'm going to read something from Hippie with a Porsche. Chelsea hits hard every time. I'm always learning. Thank you for sharing all this wisdom.
Thank you so much, Nelly.
Thank you for joining. And because obviously we've spoken about self-love, identifying toxic behavior, identifying some of the root causes of toxic behavior, identifying the external versus the internal voices of pressure. Now, for those who have joined us at the late hour of this live and have missed some of your gems, what is the one thing, for those who have stuck it out, who've listened but have zoned out in between, what is the one thing you want them to remember from this live?
That lady said it now. She said, honor yourself. You know, I think that's so important. And what I said in the beginning of this live is that you are the center of everything. You need to learn to center your life. If you can center your life, center yourself, have that routine, that discipline for yourself to say, this is where I see my life going. I'm going to honor it. You won't be shaken by boys who come along and want to play you. This thing of being frantic, hey, he hasn't replied to my message. Oh my gosh, this and that. You know, is he dead? Is he this? Why are you getting shaken? Why are you shaken? Because we've got things to do and we've got a path that we're on. Why are you getting shaken by people who wake up on a random morning and say, I don't want to be with you anymore? It hurts, yes. And we move through it. If you need help, you call Chelsea up and you're like, hey, I need you right now. We nurse that wound and we keep it moving and we move forward. You get what I mean? So honoring yourself in every situation. The other thing is that knot that you get in your tummy. Your gut health is so important. And when I say gut health, I don't mean my intestines or whatever. I'm talking that feeling, your spiritual gut health. Learn that and pray for the spirit of discernment to say that in this moment, you know, am I honoring myself? Is this right for me? You can feel it. You can feel it. As Precious says, boys won't stabilize you. She loves to use the word stabilize. No, don't let them destabilize you. Feel that to say, this is not for me. I don't like it. Don't be comfortable with that feeling where you're feeling uncomfortable. Don't be okay with that.
Don't be okay being uncomfortable.
Don't. In any, whether it's granny, for you, not for anyone now. Yes. This is for you now. Your granny's not going to come and put you under pressure. You don't like having that conversation. Rather just say, Gogo, can I please excuse myself? And you go and you honor yourself. Don't sit in a situation where you must be rained on. Don't allow that.
No, I'm definitely doing that because I'm taking myself away for December, so I won't have to have these conversations.
Thank you. You see, that's how you manage it. That's how you manage it. I need a vacation. I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I'm sat in her house and she's asking me every year, when have I done this and that? So let me go take myself on vacation and create a beautiful life for myself. That's what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
I don't
you.
know about you ladies, but I feel like Chelsea came at me. And some of the things, I'm going to cry a little bit after this live just to get it. But I hope you learned. If nothing else, Sinamile has already said it, honor yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important. If you don't honor yourself, everything else that happens is a byproduct of how you feel about yourself.
And you can't get upset.
It's so important to remember that.
And don't live with regret. You can't get upset years from now. And you're like, oh, I wasted my life away, this and that. If you're in this live, if there's one thing you need to listen to, is that you just need to get up and do it. Just show up for yourself from this day onwards. Stop saying, I'll wait till the 1st of July or this and that. From tomorrow, whether it's the 16th, you get up and you honor yourself. From tomorrow, we just start where you're like, I have a business idea. I have this. I want to do this. Also, on that note that you mentioned where you said, you know, don't be stingy on yourself. Please, it's a real thing. Money is energy. Money can sense when you're scared of it, okay? So please start being comfortable around money and spending it. Even if it's your last 50 rand, be like, you know what, I am going to enjoy myself with money. Needs to know that I am that person with money. So I need to spend and enjoy. And then more flows to you. Don't wish for yourself. Don't do that. You deserve more.
You deserve more. And with that, I want to say thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you,
Thank you to everybody who joined tonight.
Thank you,
I told
everyone.
you it's cold outside, but it is nice and warm in here. And this is what is going to keep us warm for the rest of this evening.
I love this. This was so much fun. Hippie says, buy yourself flour. Please buy yourself flour. Do the most for yourself. Do the most for yourself. But I am so glad that we had this conversation. To anyone whose comments that I missed, I'm really, really sorry that I missed it. But I really love that you all engaged. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all learned. Did you guys learn from today's live? Sorry that I'm just taking over. But did you guys learn? Can I please see one comment, even if it's a hand or a smile or an emoji? I just want to know that someone walked away with something, and promise me that you're going to show up for yourself a little bit more every single day. From tomorrow, we're not waiting for the 1st.
We're showing up.
Yes, we're showing up.
So here, Unabad is saying yes. Hippie with the Porsche.
Yes.
Is showing us with the green emoji, green heart emoji. I'm telling you, the English after 5 o'clock just does not love me. But thank you. I see. Precious understood to me says thank you. Minky, okay, we always learn from you. My internet just did a thing there, but I'm hoping I didn't miss anyone. And then Pleasure Love said very informative. I'm going to start applying this now. Whenever you must start applying this now. Hashtag just
from now.
And
from now onwards.
From now onwards. Let's just do the right things. Chelsea,
this
thank you so much.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you. So because I know myself, I'm definitely gonna do the things. I think we need to have this again, but maybe in person so that people can physically ask you questions.
Right.
But definitely sure we need to have one of these sometime this year because the pandemic has changed us and it's not fair to believe we can keep going as if we were not changed by a pandemic. So I think this conversation is important. And those who heard it, fantastic. But we definitely need it in person.
Awesome. You know? This is so much fun.
Everybody who Pleasure saying we deserve a part 2, obviously. But for the time being, take out your pens and pens, your papers and pens. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it.
I think
Interest
that's it.
started.
I agree with pleasure. We'll do a part two. I think we'll do one that's just on dating and relationships and maybe some mistakes that people are still making. I think we should do something like that.
I didn't have to ask you again. She said it on the live that we must have a part
Yes.
with and other things. So don't worry. In the works, let's do it. But for now, let's implement what Chelsea has said we must implement today. If you don't know how to catch a hold of her, don't stress. When I pop up this live, I will tag her so that you know where to go.
Thank you,
Follow,
Minky.
like, read, all the things. And
Thank
Minky,
you.
I'm gonna end with your comment. Where let's go. If you don't have Chelsea as your coach, you're sleeping. She's the best. And
Thank
then
you.
hit me with a coach says, especially this winter before people lose their way. Ooh,
Yes.
that sounded very spicy. But anyway, thank you so much for joining before it gets a little too further on. Thank you,
Okay.
Chelsea. Thank you to everybody who got onto this live. We appreciate you. Let's do this coming Wednesday. Okay.
Okay. Let's do that.
Bye.
Bye.
Night. Thanks, Chelsea.